Hey everyone, I'm back here today in my trusty hotel room on an overnight for travel where I can always get some quiet time. I've got to share a story that may even be worse than some of the other stories I've shared before, and it just happened. It shows sometimes how I don't think. So a couple months ago, I had a friend of mine show me how to change oil. He did it, oil in a vehicle. I'm 48 years old and never changed my own oil. I always got it changed by somewhere else. So now with my Honda that takes a synthetic oil and it's well over $50, even on sale, I thought I need to learn how to do this myself. My friend Jeff showed me how to do it in his truck a couple months ago, and I thought I'm going to do this myself. And I even pulled up the YouTube video to see how to do it, but it was like 15 minutes long, so I skipped through part of it that didn't seem to relate. I had all the material. I had everything I needed for it, the oil filter, everything I needed. So I get my car up on a ramp, and I'm at home by myself, and this would have been just a week ago. And I get in the driveway, I get the car up on a ramp. I take the hood off. I get underneath. There's a panel with my Honda CR-V that I had to take off, a heat shield kind of a thing. And then I see the oil filter, and I thought, okay, first thing I need to do is drain the oil. I remember that. I thought, how do I do that again? I didn't see anything under there. I saw the oil filter sticking out. I didn't see anything else. I thought, that's it. I take the oil filter off and the oil drain out. So I start and screw the oil filter. I have my pan under there and the oil starts coming out. I thought, perfect. I'll just wait for it to come out. Now, some of you may be laughing already because you know where this is going because you know my mistake. I let the oil come out all the way out. I'm thinking, okay, I'm good now. I put the new one in. I remember they said take some oil, put it around the lip of it, make sure that the rim isn't stuck from the last one. Okay, everything's good. I screwed it in, make sure it's tight. I'm good. I put the heat shield back on, screw that in. And then I go and I fill up. I had 5 gallons of synthetic oil to put in here. I filled all of it in. It took all of it. So that's because I was out of oil before. So I'm good. I was kind of surprised not a whole lot came out the first time. I thought, well, it'd been a while since I'd had a change, so it's probably just low. So I put it in, turn the car on, drive it off the ramp, get out of the car, and there is oil spewing everywhere under my car. This is my white driveway in front of the basketball goal that we go inside the back door. Oil is everywhere, it's still coming out. I turn the car off and thinking, what do I do? I don't know what to do. I can't stop it. And I'm just gonna have to let it run out. I let it run out thinking, what did I do wrong? I called my friends, and then I had one of my friends, Dennis, say, did you undrain the oil plug for the oil pan? Ah, that's what I forgot. I was thinking the oil came out of the filter. Anyhow, I found the oil plug, I undid it, and even more oil came out. I filled it back up, hence I know how to do it, I did it. The problem is now I have an 8-foot by probably 10-foot oil slick on my driveway that I still have to work to get up. I tell you this story, not to tell you just one other thing that I don't think about, but I tell you the story, and the point of today is how do you handle a big screw up? This was a big screw up. How we handle the screw ups is what defines our character, I think. And so I want to share a story in the scriptures today, and there is a little bit more scripture to read today. This is a story about the Apostle Peter, one of the most adamant Christ followers there was. In fact, he was so good and such an avid follower. He's one of Jesus's closest disciples and friends at the time. He has his own book in the Bible, the most sold book in the history of the world. So I'm going to start off in Matthew 33, where Peter answered Jesus when Jesus was talking at the Last Supper. Peter answered him, though all will fall away because of you, I will never fall away. Jesus said to him, truly, I tell you, Peter, this very night before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. Peter said to him, even if I must die with you, I will not deny you. And all the disciples said the same. So Peter was adamant. He loved Jesus. He would do anything for him. So let's go on to, Matthew 69. Here again, Matthew 26, 69. Now, Peter, so Jesus had already been taken and was captured by the Roman soldiers, and he let himself be captured. He knew this was coming. Peter was sitting outside the courtyard, and a servant girl came up to him and said, you were also with Jesus the Galilean. But he denied it before them all, saying, I do not know what you mean. And when he went out to the entrance, another servant girl saw him, and she said to the bystanders, "This man was with Jesus of Nazareth." And again he denied it with an oath, "I do not know that man." After a little while, the bystanders came up and said to Peter, "Certainly you too are one of them, for your accent betrays you." Then he began to invoke a curse on himself and to swear, "I do not know that man." And immediately the rooster crowed. And Peter remembered the saying of Jesus, "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." He went out and wept bitterly. You see, Peter knew what he did. He knew his mistake, and he made it even though he swore he wasn't going to do it. How many times do we do that? We promise ourselves we're not going to make this mistake because we love what's most important. Yet when the time comes, the stress comes, we give in. Let's go a little bit further in the story, and we're going to finish up in John, where the Apostle John is telling how Jesus, after was resurrected and with all the disciples, so he's seen after the death and resurrection, and they were sitting, he's having breakfast on the beach, Jesus is, and Jesus here in verse 15 says, when they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to them, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And he said to them, "Feed my lambs." And then he said to him a second time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." "Tend my sheep," Jesus said. And then again, Jesus said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" But Peter said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." You see, what Jesus is teaching Peter here is that he knew that he denied him 3 times. And even with that, and even though he swore he wasn't going to do it, he still did it. Peter took the medicine. He said, "You know what?" He owned up to it. I made this mistake. Jesus was letting him know his mistakes, but that mistake was not going to define him. And Peter went from that part and went and spread the gospel and led thousands of people to give their lives to Jesus because of his example. So Peter learned from his mistake and even was crucified upside down because he could not be crucified the same way Jesus was, to give his life for the one that he loved. Even through that big screw up, he still let that go. So there are 3 things I want to share of how to handle a big screw up that we can learn out of this and that we can learn from Peter. And this is at work, at home. So thankfully, going back to my story, I asked for forgiveness from my wife. I said, "I know I made the mistake. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to clean it up, and I'm going to learn not to do that again." And so my 3 points to you about how to handle a big screw up: number 1, admit that you're at fault. Sometimes we just need to say, "I'm sorry," apologize, ask for forgiveness. This is my fault. Take responsibility. Number 2, what can you learn from this lesson? What did you learn that you wish you would have done different? Now, you can't go back and redo it, but you can improve it. And number 3, take steps to not do it again. If you can't remember what you did, write it down. Make sure that when you go through this process again, you don't make that same mistake again. So admit fault, figure out what you can learn from that, and take steps to avoid it, not to do it again. It's not complicated, but it's something we often don't think about. We are going to screw up. We are going to make mistakes. I will make more mistakes. Some may be really big, and it's hard at the time. I wish I could say I'm not going to make that mistake again under pressure, but sometimes we fold and we do it. But it's how we handle that builds our character. Mark Batterson says, "Our reactions reveal more about us than our actions." And I think that's true. Our reactions, how we handle things after they happen, say so much more about our character, about our morals, than our initial actions to begin with. Have a great day.